Normally, I begin videos with some kind of opening gag, but this time, I wanted to do something different. For those unaware, Ferdinand was voiced by Billy Kometz, who sadly passed away at the far too young age of 35 from colon cancer. He voiced many fantastic characters, my personal favorite being Josuke from JoJo Part 4, and Billy's voice work for Ferdinand was a big part in what made his lines more genuine and likable. Hell, the voice clip "I am Ferdinand von Iger" became a meme for a while in the early days of Three Houses. So I wanted to start this video off with a toast. Here's to you, Billy. I hope the next life gives you more time and love than this one did. Nobles are directly tied to the Fire Emblem franchise, given that the main character of a Fire Emblem game is some form of royalty in every single game but one. But Fire Emblem doesn't often really go into what a noble is. Marth's story isn't about him figuring out the ideal taxation system for the Altian region, it's about the war. But every now and again, a character will be about what a higher rank in society is all about. It isn't just looking pretty and sipping tea, there is some real politics behind it. I've covered Clive on the show already, but Ferdinand is another example of Fire Emblem taking a look at nobility and how they view themselves and the world around them. So today, we're looking at old Franz Ferdinand, and seeing what makes the bright-eyed optimist of Adrestia tick.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
The way Ferdinand is introduced by Edelgard is that he's the son of the Prime Minister, and he views the next Empress Edelgard as a rival, and he's also kinda full of himself. And from his monastery dialogues and his bits in the story, yeah, that pretty much sums up Ferdinand pretty well. He'll often gloat about his abilities, especially in relation to Edelgard's. Humility is not a word in this man's vocabulary at all. Even when he's being helpful, he's usually talking about his station when doing so. Like, he can't just do something nice. It has to be because he's a noble. So he's a prideful noble who's a bit out of touch, but often well-meaning. Well, maybe diving into some of his supports in the monastery will help increase his likability for us. His Byleth support has him approach his professor to ask them about how they view the abilities of Lady Edelgard. But in truth, he more so did that as a bridge to ask Byleth how they feel about him, and he takes great offense to the notion that Byleth doesn't think he's better than Edelgard. So to prove his great worth, he goes off to fight a demonic beast all by himself to show his dominance. And then he needs to get saved by Byleth because he's in way over his head. Yeah, Ferdinand really isn't beating the annoying egotist allegations in this support. Maybe we should check out his Edelgard support. I mean, he talks about her so much, so they gotta talk about something interesting, right? Well, with Edelgard, he talks to her about a story. A long time ago, the emperor of their nation and the prime minister dueled to see who was more fit to rule the country. And you can already tell where this is going. Ferdinand wants to duel Edelgard for supremacy, but Edelgard refuses to play around with him just for the sake of his ego. But after Ferdinand starts annoying the shit out of her by comparing everything of his to hers, even flowers of all things, she relents and beats his ass in a single blow. Some Luffy and Bellamy type shit. Though Edelgard tries to make him feel better, his ego is painfully wounded, and he acknowledges her dominance over him. Again, the support doesn't really show him in a positive light. Alright, maybe he's just not good with the ladies. Let's try to take a look at his Caspar support. In this support, Caspar has solved some kind of dispute between two rowdy parties. Ferdinand is impressed by this, but he berates Caspar for acting on instinct rather than taking a moment to think things through and act with logic. Ferdinand believes that, as nobles, they should act more on conviction, and this is just the same stuff as before. These are a lot of Ferdinand supports. He might have varying degrees of annoying and classist, but in all of them he has the same traits of stuck up and a bit out of touch. So that might make you ask the question, why am I making a video on Ferdinand if I seem to really fucking hate his character? It's because I'm a greedy dickbag who only makes content in order to get money from you. That's right, I have a Patreon, where for as little as $3 a month, you can support the channel and get benefits, like getting early access to some panels, getting your name called out on videos, and, for $7 a month, you can take part in polls to decide the future character analysis episodes. This time, it's a contest for the Arcanean characters. We're going back to FE1 and giving someone there some love. So come on down, go to patreon.com/FEMSPaint and make your voice heard. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Andrew Crockett, Benz Again, Dr. McBackstab, Elizabeth, Fire Emblem Lord, Great Riek, Hell on Heelys, Ichigo D. Kumu, Jaeger Guts, Kenpachi Shiro, Uzumaki Kiri, Matao Kratos, Char Ansible, Frederick Sirius, Balsara Hakuman, The Right Void, Despacito 2, Ly-17 Bolt, Nevrix the Tourmaline Project creator, Shen Lu, Steph D, Tato, the world's most unironic 8.5 tail stan, Walmart greeter, Your Girl Olwyn, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Ginger, Goo Goo Gaga Cornelia Milkers 92, Max the Knife, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you for continued support, and let's actually go into why I like Ferdinand. It's because Ferdinand has the legendary time skip character development card to come turn his character from annoying to absolutely incredible. Since Three Houses has a 5-year time skip in the middle of it, every character in the game can get one chance to have character development in both their supports and in the story that Fire Emblem's writing style normally doesn't allow. Marianne can go from a depressed woman with horrible self-esteem to a depressed woman with slightly better self-esteem. Hubert can go from a man who is ride or die only for Edelgard to a man who's ride or kill for all of his friends and loved ones. And Felix can go from an asshole to... well, honestly, Felix is still an asshole, but now he's a vindicated asshole. So, how does Ferdinand handle his one shot at character development? Well, we can look at literally the first thing he says to Byleth and their support.
Not once since our days at the Academy have I exceeded Edelgard's abilities. I saw her as a worthy opponent. She did not even see me as a contender. She did not even consider me at all. As the head of the noble House Ire, I must be able to achieve results. But all my efforts have come to nothing. Results are everything. I have not shown results, so I will be stagnating here forever.
And this is what defines Ferdinand post-time skip. His ego, while still prevalent, is something that he fights to earn. He recognizes that he was just a child fooling around with his title, and that he needs to show the results he's earned from his title to match its worth. His Byleth support has him go on to talk about how people can change the world, even if they leave no name in history books, and how he's okay if that's what ends up happening to him. This humility is something he flat out did not have before, and it helps show his maturity as a person, and thus, it makes him a likable character that people can, hopefully, see themselves in as we all grow and mature in our own lives. For example, when talking to Edelgard, he starts thinking about how her desire to get rid of the nobility might not be the greatest idea for her to have. But it's not from a place of ego and wanting to keep his title. Rather, it's from a belief that nobility are part of society, and removing it without having something in its place might prove more problematic than if it was still there. So he proposes a system where the Empire gives free education, and then those that excel be given positions of power based on ability, not some title they inherited. This, again, shows how Ferdinand has completely grown up as a person. It makes it clear he's matured in a way that lets him fight for far more likable things. And this is the trend for the rest of his supports. While he once chastised Caspar, he now recognizes his merits and even takes some inspiration from them. While he once talked Mercedes' ear off about nobility and things she didn't care about, he now recognizes how nobility has caused her pain and strives to correct it. I could keep bringing up more and more examples, but I feel like they would be redundant. You get the idea that Ferdinand's character development is what makes him endearing to the player. What isn't redundant to do is bring up his relationship with his father, the Prime Minister Ludwig, who is the opposite of his son in just about every way. Ludwig is corrupt, vile, and selfish. If you really stop to look at what he's responsible for, you'll want his head on a goddamn pike. But despite that, Ferdinand has some awkward level of respect for him. He is his father, and it seems that there is some love between them. At least, it's enough love for Ferdinand to grieve when Ludwig eventually does get his comeuppance and is killed by the innocent people he extorted. Ferdinand's relationship with his father is weird, because from what we see, Ludwig is a despicable man with absolutely no redeeming qualities. But Ferdinand grieving for him makes me wonder, what were their lives like? Was Ludwig so cruel when it came to the matters of his son? This might sound like I'm making a deal out of a nothing line, but as someone who's lost some family members, I can relate to Ferdinand's complicated love of his father. I've learned some less than sightly things about my own grandfather only after he passed on that makes my love for him not hard to do, but different. I can't help but wonder if Ferdinand is having such conflicting thoughts himself. It's hard to put into words, and I very well may be projecting onto him way too hard, but it's an aspect of his character I really like. There's also his presence in Three Hopes, the alternate telling of Three Houses that's a Warriors spin-off game. I've been told he has a fantastic character in that game, but I've never played it because I thought Fire Emblem Warriors 1 sucked balls, so therefore, Three Hopes was gonna suck balls too. And before you ask, yes, I am definitely still holding the L on that one, but I can't talk about what I don't even know. So if Ferdinand has some kind of world-breaking scene that conceptually changes his whole character, I'm sorry, Ferdy fans. Feel free to call me a fucking loser in the comments who didn't buy Three Hopes. As it turns out, I deserve it. Three Houses rolled the dice when it came to Ferdinand. They intentionally made a character with a ton of unlikable character traits. But they had faith that players would stick with him, and see him grow from an uptight teen into a fine young man with strong morals and values. And it's important that they didn't basically write two characters. Ferdinand is still himself. He always has his plucky optimism, and his ego didn't magically vanish, but his ideals and values definitely grow and mature. It makes a lot of us hopeful that we can see that kind of growth in others. Maybe we see Ferdinand as reflections of ourselves and how we grow as people. Either way, he leaves his mark as someone who takes the title of noble, which is often just a side part of a Fire Emblem character, and actually shows what it means. If only the upper class in real life would have even a crumb of Ferdinand's values. What a world that would be. Thank you guys for making it to the end of another character analysis video. Ferdinand's one of my faves from Three Houses, so I'm glad I was able to do him an episode, and I hope fans of him think I did him justice. As always, I would like to thank my buddy Guy, the Green Brigand, for looking over the script and making sure I don't say anything too stupid. It hasn't happened yet, and I'm sure it will in the future. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please consider joining my Discord server. It's a lot of fun to have around, and the people in there really seem to like it. Everyone there super cool, super respectful, and I hope you consider giving it a shot. Link is going to be in the description below. And also, consider taking a look at my Look Back series, a series of retrospectives that I'm working on that I swear, there are more episodes coming, they just take a while. You find a map immediately upon entering, marking the apartment complex as having 3 floors with a bunch of rooms. Not every door opens. In fact, most of them don't because they're locked or just completely unopenable in the first place. So you start running around going, do you open? No. Do you open? No. Do you open? Yes! Oh no, it opens!